Welcome to Pig Pods. We give you actionable insight and stories behind real-life success wherever you go. Here are your hosts, Angelos and Mo.
Welcome to Pig Pods, your success podcast. I'm Angelos.
And I'm Mo. So today we are interviewing David Aggiss of 360 Mortgages. This is a man who just attracts success, and we're privileged to be interviewing today. So hello Dave, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be here.
So Dave, where did it all begin for you?
Where did it all begin? The $1 million question, I guess. I don't know, going back a long way, I guess. School wasn't my thing. I left school with probably just a handful of GCSEs, didn't do A-levels, didn't go to university. Trod the path of university of life, I guess. Probably spent most of my 20s not knowing what I wanted to do, bouncing around various different sales jobs because sales was where the money was. Probably great experience, but I guess a lot of wasted time and just a bit lost. I say just bouncing around from one job to the next. I think it wasn't really until we bought our first house, which was sort of our main residence. It was a doer-upper, as a lot of people do, avid fan of Homes Under the Hammer. Wondering how people made money out of property. Kind of got interested in property, didn't know how to do it though, bought our house and got introduced to a couple of books. Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm sure you guys have read. Yeah, and another one which I'm sure you probably read as well is Property Magic by Simon Zucci. That was the two books I read, and that kind of just revealed a whole load of tactics in property that I just was unaware of. So tried it twice, first time worked, second time failed, realised I needed a bit more help. And then kind of got involved in, I took some property training and started to build a property portfolio.
So just talk us through that. So you said one worked, one failed. Just talk us through both of those quickly.
Yeah, so my strategy was a fairly common one, is sort of no money left in. I didn't have cash, so I had to borrow some money off of friends and family to be able to put down a deposit and do a little bit of a refurbishment to the property. So we bought a property. It was a repossession, needed a fair bit of work, but we did it ourselves, saved a bit of cost, and when we refinanced it, all our money came back out. Probably got a bit big-headed and thought, I can do this, went out and tried it again, but ended up paying too much for the property. It didn't value at what I thought it was going to value at, and the refurb cost more as well. So we ended up leaving a fair amount of someone else's money in the property.
So what happens when you come across that situation, Dave?
Fortunately for us, we didn't have to sell it. There was always the option to sell it and release the equity. We managed to arrange the money over a bit of a longer deal. Like I say, I then went into property training, or got involved in some property training and learned how to do it properly. We made some money on other deals and ended up paying them back that way. But yeah, just telling them what was going on. I think ultimately the money was safe because there was equity in the property.
And this was whilst you were employed?
Yeah, did it whilst I was running a full-time job. I think I was actually studying for a diploma in financial advice at the time, so I was studying, working and doing a property.
Wow, busy.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that transition from being a full-time employee to being full-time self-employed. How did it start? What were you doing, and how did you get the idea that that's what you wanted to do, and then transition into it? Yeah,
so I think from getting involved in property, I'd always thought I was just going to buy hundreds of properties and property was going to be my income and I was going to live off property for the rest of my life. I think going through that process I learned a lot about mortgages and finance. I was also working in finance at the time as well, they're not mortgages. So I kind of almost fell into running my own business, but the whole process of buying property, investing in property, opened my mind up to being more of an entrepreneur and being self-employed and working for myself. Especially when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad rather than working for somebody else. So the transition really was buy property, crash course in finance as a consumer. Then thought I really enjoy this, buying property and arranging the finance, even though someone else was doing my mortgage deals for me. So I retrained, got some experience with an estate agent as a mortgage broker, and then decided the time was right to work for myself. Wasn't what I expected. Had this great, maybe an illusion, maybe not, but I thought, I could work for myself, I'll work less and earn more.
Delusion, did you say?
Yeah, delusion. So you know, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I'm now growing a business for myself, so I've been busy, but I've got the flexibility. You know, I've got a young family, 2 young boys. I can come in late, I can leave early. So the working day is probably a bit more unconventional, not your normal 9 to 5, but it's for me.
So 2 questions then, Dave. What was the trigger point for you in your mind to move from being full-time employed to wanting your own business? Was it reading those books and the seed was planted early on, or was it working in the daily grind and you just had enough and that was it and this is it, I'm now going to make my own business? What was that trigger for you?
I think it was probably loads of things all put together, to be honest. Reading the books was probably the start for me. Opened my eyes to other avenues. Like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do all through my 20s and into my 30s. I just had no idea what I wanted to do. So yeah, the books definitely opened my eyes a little bit more. I found the circles of people that I was mixing with changed. I was kind of meeting a lot more people that had that sort of mindset, more entrepreneurs, more property investors, and also just wanting to do something for me rather than working for somebody else and working in a job.
Yeah. So how do you balance a busy family life with a busy business life? Because I know you work all hours of the day and then some.
Badly. No, I think it's just it's using your time wisely, I guess. I say going back to the point where I was working a full-time job, studying for a diploma and doing up houses, I think I did things like I used my lunch break to study. During the daylight hours when I wasn't at work, we'd do work on the property, and then evenings or even early mornings I'd do a bit more study as well. So just fitting things in around the available time. So currently I try and make sure I get home in time so I can see the kids before they go to bed. After the kids are in bed, it's like a second shift really. I could either do some more business or some more other business or property related activities or looking into something new. Mornings as well, you know, I'm around in the mornings and take the kids to school and come in when I want.
So what tips have you got for someone who's working full-time at the moment and is looking to perhaps move to that self-employed stage in their lives, and it's so busy at work, they don't have any time when they get home? What advice do you have for those people?
There's always time. They don't have any time when they get home. It depends what they're doing in their evenings with their time and their weekends. So for me, I wanted to make sure I had something running alongside my work, so it wasn't a complete jump from having an employed income to being fully self-employed. So I had the property portfolio. I'd also started up an online Amazon business as well. So I did have a couple of bits going that would support the move from employed to self-employed.
So you mentioned a couple there. So talk to us about the multiple streams of income that you've got at the moment, how they kind of developed, and kind of how they're sitting now in terms of having multiple streams of income coming in.
Yeah, so I think a saying that always sort of stuck in my mind is that I think it's the average millionaire has 7 streams of income or something like that. So that kind of set me down the track of trying to broaden my horizons. Like I said, I thought property was it and going to be the only thing for me. From there, I started the Amazon business part-time, and then moved on and obviously now run my own mortgage business, which is growing as well. I think it's important not to try and take on too much in one go. You know, you can become overwhelmed by trying to do too many things, spread yourself out too thin, and nothing really get the attention that it needs. So for me at the moment, I guess the mortgage business is my main business. Amazon and property are a close second and third, and they just take up a little bit less of my time.
You mentioned Amazon, so for those listeners who don't know what Amazon is, apart from the rainforest, massive shopping website, could you just explain a little bit about what it is, how you got involved with it, and your thoughts on online e-commerce?
Yeah, so it is Amazon as in the online retailer, not the rainforest. I think I'd always, again, another thing I'd always wanted to do is have some form of online business, because the internet is the future, everything's going online now. So to have a piece of that marketplace was something I wanted to do. Again, it was another training course. I took another 3-day training course to learn how to sell on Amazon. So it's Amazon FBA, which is Fulfillment by Amazon. It's a process where you create your own products, so to speak. So it's generic products, but you private label them. So you put your own branding on them. Put your own branding, send them into Amazon. Amazon will basically handle the logistics. So they'll store them in their warehouse. They'll ship them out to to the customers as well. I guess the part you play is sourcing products, creating your branding and your marketing your products as well. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of an overview of the Amazon business.
And how have you found it? I know you've been operating for a few years now. There's been some ups and downs and ups. Do you care to share some tips and tricks that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, I think ups and downs definitely. It's a rapidly changing marketplace. I think you've just really got to keep up to date with what is going on. Fortunately, I am part of a sort of a small mastermind group of other Amazon sellers. So we tend to meet wherever we can once a month, either online or in person, and we just share ideas and share what's going on in the world of Amazon and e-commerce.
And you mentioned multiple streams of income with your property, your Amazon, your mortgage business, and you've also mentioned about the importance of going out there and getting trained on it by professionals who have done this before. Is there a risk where someone could basically become a course junkie and just learn 7, 8, 10 different courses and say, right, I'm going to have 10 different streams of income? Or is it sensible to have, say, 3 or 4 core businesses that are running rather than juggling so many balls up in the air?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having done a few courses, I've probably seen a few people that do just enjoy going on courses and struggle to implement what they've learned. So again, I think that's about surrounding yourself with the right people, maybe taking things further if you need to, getting some further training, some further hand-holding. But there's always a risk to take on too much, yeah, absolutely. So just going back to your question a moment ago as well, how does Amazon fit in with my businesses now? I think that has probably tailed off a little bit this year as I've been focusing on the mortgage business, which has come out for 18 months. So yeah, definitely I think there's a rule, the 70-20-10 rule, 70% of your time on your main business, 20 on the second and 10 on the third. I think that's a great structure to follow.
Great. So what do you think has been your biggest accomplishment in life to date?
I think it's difficult to pin down one thing, but I would say probably the last 5 years have been my biggest accomplishment, really. Not only on the business side with properties of Amazon, with the mortgage business, but I've got a young family, got 2 young boys now. Got married within the last 5 years, got a nice house, sort of a nice family home. So I think I'm just at a really good point where everything is coming together, and I say I can't really pinpoint one big accomplishment, but everything that's going on now is a big accomplishment, really.
So I guess all the hard work you put in over the past 10, 15 years is getting there. The payoff is within sight, or you feel that you have actually achieved quite a bit with your family, your businesses, and now it's just onwards and upwards?
Yeah, I don't know about 10 or 15 years. I think probably the last 5 have been a bit more focused in where I want to go and what I want to do. 10 years ago, mid-20s, I really didn't have a clue. I was just chasing money really, rather than trying to create businesses or create long-term income.
Right, Dave, here's one for you. If you could meet one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
So at the moment I would probably have to say Richard Branson, just because I'm currently halfway through listening to his new book on Audible. I just think he's done so much, has approached things in so many different ways, so many different businesses, and it's really interesting just listening to the stuff that went on behind the scenes that wasn't necessarily in the public eye. But just hearing about the hostile attacks on his businesses from other businesses, the charitable work he does. I'm also a big fan of having my own island. So that's the pipe dream. I want an island. But no, just to see how he got involved in Necker Island as well. Great guy, and currently listening to him, so I'd love to meet him and discuss his book.
So if you're listening, Richard, and I hope
Which
you are,
is,
which
obviously.
I hope you are, and learning from, it would be great if you can get in contact with Dave.
So apart from having an island, what does success mean to you?
I think success is, for me, being very comfortable, not having to worry about finances, and not having to worry about how I spend my time. So, I'm not after a mansion and a load of fast cars. For me, it's just being comfortable. So it's having the time to see my family grow up, having several streams of income, and being able to manage them without it taking up all of my time.
So Dave, just very quickly, I know we haven't necessarily asked you this before, but what top tips would you give for budding entrepreneurs out there?
What, in sense of people that want to start their own businesses, or? Just going back to what I said before, for me, making the transition from employed to self-employed, or just starting on their entrepreneurial businesses, really is to, if you don't know what to do, go out and get some advice on it, get some training on it. You know, I'm a big advocate of training, even paid for training. I know not everybody likes it, but it's invaluable to me. Planning ahead and maybe running something alongside your current job, so you've got a little bit of a fallback, build it on the side, and then when the income overtakes your earned income, you know, you can swap from job to self-employed.
Fantastic. Well, that's been really, really interesting, Dave. So thank you for joining us, Dave from 360 Mortgages. I'm sure that the listeners have been inspired by your hard work, dedication, and your story. If people do want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, at the moment, probably just drop me an email. My email is david@360mortgages.com. That's the word 3, the word 60. Website should be back up soon, just having a redesign. Or look me up on Facebook, and that's David Aggiss, AGGISS.
And hopefully Richard Branson's listening and he will make contact.
I'm looking out for his email.
Thank you very much again, Dave, and thank you to you at home for listening to Pig Pods, your success podcast. Please click subscribe, leave a review, and we look forward to your comments in the Pig Pod Facebook community. I've been Angelos.
And I've been Mo.
And see you again on the next exciting Pig Pod.
You've been listening to Pig Pods. Click subscribe for more incredible content. More details can be found at www.pig.network.